This recording is brought to you by Camaur Crampton Family Law and our website www.divorce.legal. Now for some legal words here we've got to throw in. The information provided is not intended to constitute legal advice. It's for general information purposes only. If you need legal advice, see a lawyer, and having the right attorney makes the difference. Hi, welcome to Divorce.legal, where we have discussions between our attorneys about pressing issues in family law. I'm Liz Camaur, and our other attorneys today are Sarah Davidson, Kevin Brown, and Leslie Davis. The question for today is COVID-19. When there are income changes and you have support issues during this pandemic, what are some of the problems and some of the things you can do? Sarah, why don't you start off and tell us what are some of the things you're seeing happen in terms of income and support issues during the pandemic?
One of the things a lot of parents and parties are concerned about is if they lost their job and whether or not they're able to pay support if there's been an order for payment. If you no longer have the ability to pay for support, you should immediately file a request for order to modify support. The state is working on how to deal with these issues, but the sooner that you're able to put the paperwork together, serve it on the other party or the other party's counsel, we can at least show the need to be able to modify the support. So it's important to contact someone who can assist you, such as an attorney like our office, so that you can preserve your ability to modify your support if that's something that you need to do based on the current circumstances.
Okay, so if they file it early on, there's a possibility of getting it retroactive to the date it's actually served?
There's been emergency judicial council rules that have been implemented within the last few weeks that state, as of right now, it's the court's discretion of having retroactivity or the support to be able to begin on the date that that request for order is served on either counsel or the other party.
Okay, great. So this isn't something that they should wait until things calm down and the courts reopen?
No, this should be filed immediately.
Okay, good. Kevin, what are some of the issues you're seeing?
Well, we're certainly see income drops, particularly with small business owners and self-employed individuals. The federal government is offering some relief for that with the PPP loans as well as the SBA loans, but those are only temporary and they have very specific guidelines that you have to follow to a T to make sure that you can comply with that. What we also have seen is as often as there is legitimate decreases in income, unfortunately now we're also seeing people trying to game the system and make up a decrease in income as a way to try to avoid paying support. And I would absolutely advise against that because there are very strict consequences, contempt of court even, which can carry with it jail time. And one thing that is worth mentioning is that you don't have to actually show inability to pay in order to get a contempt of court ruling against you. So you need to be paying. Gaming the system is not going to be to your advantage. If you are the recipient of spousal support, child support, family support, and you think that the payer of support is trying to game the system, has not actually had a decrease in income, but is still cutting your support amounts, you need to talk about, because unfortunately we're seeing people trying to take advantage of the system, during the current pandemic.
Okay, great. So then if there's a real unemployment issue or a decrease in income, a lot of these businesses are heavily impacted, restaurants, hair salons, places like that, then definitely they need to make a motion right away to modify.
Absolutely.
If they take matters in their own hands and just automatically reduce it, claiming, an advantage based on just the assumption with the pandemic, they can be severely penalized.
Very much so. Not just contempt of court, there's other sanctions. It's just a bad idea. Just don't do it. There's a lot of bad repercussions for it. You don't want to make up something that's not there. But certainly, if there's been a legitimate reduction of your income, you definitely want to try to file to modify support as soon as possible, like Sarah was saying earlier. And bankruptcy is an option as well, which, something that Leslie could certainly talk about a little bit more.
Right. And Leslie, a lot of people are heavily hit. Pretty soon the PPP money is going to run out. and people whose businesses are not likely to recover very fast, restaurants who can't make money if they have social distancing. What can they do?
Well, if you're an individual, you can look, as well as a company, a business, file for bankruptcy. It's not necessarily what everybody wants to do, and they think there's a stigma with it. But in these days, I think desperate times call for desperate measures sometimes, and filing for bankruptcy will give somebody a new start. If it's possibility of doing a plan, like in a Chapter 13, where you kind of reorganize your debts, you are still keeping everything, as opposed to a liquidation and a 7. You have a lot of options. There's a new small business Chapter 5 case called a Sabra case, which allows smaller businesses to go through the process very fast within a very short period of time and reorganize. And that went into effect in February, and now has increased the limits due to the CARES Act to a much higher limit because of the pandemic. And I think we're going to see quite a few of those, and certainly would be able to help somebody who needs to do that, and they should come see a bankruptcy attorney as well.
Okay, and a big benefit of our firm is that we really are, our goal is to empower our clients, is to look at their future goals and to strategize their case for their goals. And if right now somebody is facing real dire economic consequences because of the pandemic, what I'm hearing from the panel is, number one, they should be coming in to talk about whether or not they need a modification of support. And number two, come in to see if you need to reorganize your business or liquidate it in some sort of a bankruptcy action so you can move forward with a new fresh start. Any other last minute tips about income issues, support issues during the pandemic?
If one last thing I would say, if you're the payer of support, if you can't make the payment, the full payment because of your economic situation, if you can make any payment, if you can make $50, if you can make any $20, any payment you can still make towards the court order support, you definitely want to do that, because the court will take that into account later on when the court's looking at a potential non-compliance issue. So make sure you're making whatever payment that you can make, and make sure you get to the right attorney as soon as possible.
Great, thank you so much. And our office handles all of these issues, and right now we are running a pandemic special. Kevin, you want to tell everybody about the pandemic special?
Sure. And right now, having the right attorney, having your back and on call, just in case anything happens, is essential, and it's invaluable. And we understand that these are nerve-wracking times, and frankly, that the courts might have limited access right now, and you might have heard of that. So what we're offering right now is a special where for $19.99, you'll get limited scope representation to get going on your divorce. And that's also going to help you get a jump on the crowd that's inevitably going to be coming and rushing to the court to file divorces. And for that $19.99, what you're going to get is 2-day access to our initial consultation videos. And these videos walk you all the way through the divorce process, all the issues you might encounter in a divorce, and really can help you be prepared and hit the ground running with your divorce before you even talk to an attorney. We're going to offer you a 30-minute initial consultation with an attorney. We can do that via phone or via Zoom or Skype or whatever works for you. And then you're also going to get 2 hours of attorney time to strategize or consult with an attorney, either with how your case can go moving forward, or if anything pops up, such as a decrease in support or any other sort of support issues during this pandemic time. And if you don't use all that 2 hours, then you can actually go ahead and roll that time, that 2 hours of attorney time forward, and that can be credited to you if you retain us to represent you in full representation once the court's open to proceed with your divorce.
That's a pretty good deal. I approve that.
Thank you.
Did I approve that? Well, you know what? It is very important. And the one thing we want to do is to be a service to our community and a resource for our clients. And so we spend a lot of time in our consultations strategizing and looking at their goals, financial and also personal goals, to make sure that if they're going to have to go through this kind of problem, we're going to turn it into an opportunity. And with that, having the right attorney absolutely makes the difference. We look forward to seeing you next time. If you're facing a family law issue, you can visit us at www.divorce.legal. That's divorce.legal. No .com, it's divorce.legal.